Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a turn of events, isn't it? We are streaming once again. I told you we would be back a little bit prematurely to what I wanted to do, but we've got some pretty big key things to cover here. If you're new to the channel relatively in the last sort of 6 months, you would not see me streaming, but I used to do this a lot and I stopped and we're back with a bang. We've got co-hosts, we've got thought out topics, and yeah, it's going to be good fun. So my regular co-host here on these streams is going to be Mr. Paulie, the Latino Slant. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing great as long as it's not the Latinx slant.
Ah, you don't identify as Latinx, Latinx.
No, Mr. A,
so, so for those
pleasure
that
to
don't
be
know,
here.
uh, yeah, well, good to have you on. Thanks for basically agreed to be on this sort of rebooted live streams. For those that don't know, Paulie runs a channel called The Latino Slant. You will see it down below in the description box. I'd love for you all, if you enjoy his takes during these streams, to head on over to his channel and check out his content because it's very good content. I wouldn't have him on otherwise. But don't subscribe needlessly. I'm sure you'll enjoy his takes, and I'm sure you will want to subscribe as well. So, just to get some sort of housekeeping rules out the way as well, because we are changing things ever so slightly, ladies and gents, is there's another channel in the description box called Mr. H Reviews Live Archives. All of these live streams will appear over there now. They're obviously on the main channel. You can see it now on the main channel, but they will be put on over there and then there'll be clips. So if you can't stay for the whole live stream or whatever, and you just want to drop in and see special clips about certain topics, like today, we've got some really good topics. We're talking She-Hulk, Rings of Power, and it is genuinely the aftermath because it's quite insane. You can head on over there and you'll find clips. So please do hit subscribe over there because you won't be able to watch this live stream back anymore. They will be over there instead, not on the main channel. So that's how we're going to be doing it. But let's remove these two women from the screen right now because they're
Oh,
not the nicest to look at.
just at the screen. Can we just remove them from our entertainment minds, please? God.
Yeah, so I think it's probably important to get out the way first and foremost as well. Um, She-Hulk in general. So you dropped out after the third episode, didn't you?
And it wasn't. It's not that I didn't want to. I was gonna go. Okay, let me wait on the fourth, and then I'll do a Chris Gore. I'll watch all
Mhm.
four because he was like. But then this time, life happens and all that stuff, and then I just kept hearing it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And I like Tatiana, but that's her name, right? Tatiana?
Yeah, Tatiana Maslany. She's a good actress.
Really fantastic actress.
Mm.
I just didn't think any of it was funny. Like, why am I
Well,
going to
so
waste? Yeah.
no, but you're right. So, but they've literally come out and revealed that. Well, so here's the thing: they came out and revealed that it was made to troll everyone. Right? That's what they said. It was made to basically troll everyone. Um, but I wonder, having
Hmm.
obviously you haven't watched it all, but I wonder whether you think that's like a response of them basically going, ah, shit, yeah, this is like the lowest rated season of anything Marvel ever. We're just going to come and
Hmm.
run cover and say, actually, yeah, we're just trolling everyone. It's just, but it's effectively saying it's just a prank, bro. That's essentially what they're saying, isn't it?
Well, their talent is a prank. Their writing's a prank.
Mm.
I think they knew the turd that they have had. I mean, this was shot a while ago, right?
Um, yeah, I think so. I'm
Okay,
pretty
well,
certain it was shot a while
yeah,
ago.
well,
Yeah.
they know. Well, let's just say it was maybe a year ago or 6 months. They've known of what they've had for a while. I
Mm.
think, I think they knew what they had, and they were kind of, well, we're gonna, we're really gonna hit hard the media after the fact,
Mm.
and because it seems like there's more talk about this than the actual merits of the show.
Yeah.
Like again, I go off you, I go off Chris Gore, with it just wasn't compelling at all. I mean, the first episode was kind of fun because you got to see the Hulk and She-Hulk, jump around, but that's about it, man.
We had Hulks running around. It's all good. But you're
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, you raise an interesting point, don't you? Saying how the writing is essentially a prank. I mean, this article from Variety, She-Hulk team explains the fourth wall breaking finale and delivering an FU to toxic Marvel fans. Isn't it interesting that you're going to say so they're Marvel fans, but we don't like them ones because those are the toxic ones? It's like, but you're expecting them to watch your show, and this is what I mean. Like the subject matter in this article is just insane. Like what they say about this as well. Um, you know, this just specifically is an interview with Tatiana Maslany, but there's also Jessica Gao that's come out and said it. Tatiana Maslany is like, oh, Jessica Gao is a genius and knows about the culture we're living in and her position in it when she's writing these stories about a woman superhero. She knows what that response is going to be. And as a cast, it was delightful sending each other these troll responses like, oh my God, give them a week. And then they're going to literally see this pop up verbatim in the show and become the villains of the show. It was thrilling. I mean, what do you have to say for that?
I
Because I
mean,
mean, you're literally saying, yeah, the writing is a prank. I mean,
right? That this agenda is first and foremost. This is what they're delivering, not the actual show, like the actual thrilling show, like for me and you, Andor or House of Dragons. And I guess what I mean by that is that they know they know that they're alienating at least half their audience with this, right?
Oh,
Which
easily. At the bare
easily.
minimum, half their audience.
Right. So it's like we're gonna double down. We're gonna double down because in our bubble, in our Hollywood bubble, this, we are everything. This is, and we're gonna lead you guys. We're gonna show you how to evolve. I mean, yeah, a show. Me and my dad yesterday we watched 3 episodes of Stargate SG-1. I mean, it's so funny. It's so brilliant. And they didn't have a lot of money.
Timeless too, because there's no current politics really thrown in there. It's very much. I can't remember there being any current politics. I mean, you've just watched a couple of episodes. You tell me if there was. I don't think there was.
No. Well, what was interesting enough, we watched the 200th episode, 200, and it's just a brilliant take on, they were kind of taking the piss out of themselves, out of Hollywood, and I was like, oh my God, this is so timely. But this was made like over 15 years ago. Let the work speak for whatever agenda you have. If you want to put it in there, that's okay, I guess. But let the work speak for it. I guess almost like Prey. Prey was definitely pro chick, and there's nothing wrong with that. But boy, they entertained it. I really loved Prey.
Yeah, I had a good time with Prey. Very good time.
It works on when it can work on different levels, and you're entertaining the fans. And what's this energy? Look at all this energy in this article, and you're crapping on fans. That says a lot.
Spent. You're right. Like the amount of energy here solely at the expense of crapping on fans is insane. I mean, there's this here, and again, this goes back to your comment of the writing was a prank. Were you expecting to face the trolls when you signed on for the show? And this is the writing. So Tatiana Maslany is talking about the script, and she says, well, reading the script, it was so true. There's so much resistance to a woman just existing in that space of superheroes. No, there's not. She-Hulk got a green light because she's a likable character, because she's a female superhero and she's likable. I mean, the audacity of her to sit there and say that that's the case is outrageous. And it's just like, there's also going to be that I sort of anticipated it. It's why I also feel it's important. there's such an entitlement to space held by certain people, and to even exist as She-Hulk is like an FU, and I love that.
I mean, what an
What?
offense to people like Sigourney Weaver, Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, were you just born yesterday? I mean, what? And I love Tatiana's acting. We talked about this.
Yeah, she's
I
a really
mean,
good. This is what I mean. Like seeing her say this kind of stuff, dying on the altar of Marvel, is beyond me. Like, why would you do that? This
yeah,
is where you're going to draw the line on your career, basically. Like, what? Why?
well, and if okay, let's just say let's just play with it. Like, let's say they're right. Okay, it's so Marvel. It's been an all
Mm,
book of those catchphrase words. Just look out because they don't know what they're talking about. They're speaking through their butts. They're talking about a social agenda. They're not talking about the actual property, of She-Hulk or
mm,
Black Widow it's just it's incorrect. It's incorrect.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my cousin's dog. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, we love dogs here.
Yes, we do.
Dogs are all good. Although people wondering where Sir Jasper is, he's just a bed. He doesn't come in here anymore. He's just asleep. So, alas, you will not see Sir Jasper anymore, unfortunately. But I mean, again, like, what an epic fail on every level. I mean, you tuned out after episode 3, and you are right. You know, the writing was an absolute prank. I mean, and they just reveal that here, unequivocal, just a huge prank. But then we come on to the fact of the matter is that they're talking about season 2. Now, you tuned out, obviously, after like the 3rd episode. So your review of it's not going to be very good, just in general, I'm sure. But yeah, season 2. What do you think? Do you reckon they're going to do a season 2 or not? Just from your limited experience and what you've seen in the presses now.
I mean, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Well, when I say that, can it get worse? Could the show
Oh
get
my!
worse?
It could definitely get worse. It could 100% get worse. You know it could.
Mm.
You know it could.
No, I did
But
hear
we
the
may not have to
penultimate was
suffer.
right. I did hear the penultimate was kind of decent. Andre liked that one.
What? Did he?
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I heard
Hey, no, he might have had a brain aneurysm that day. You're joking. Wow.
Sorry, boss. We
Me,
love you, Andre.
I'm gonna have to text Andre. Be like, what are you talking about? You didn't like that episode, did
That's
you?
hysterical.
Disgraceful. No, you can
Um,
obviously like what you like.
Listen, yeah, I am gonna watch it at some point. Like that's what I did with the Eternals. I think like 6 months later, I finally sat down. And you know what? It was in June. I had COVID, so I
Mm.
had so much time on my hands to let me put this
Stellar
on.
review from Paulie there. I got COVID, so I just watched mindless drivel on TV.
Dude, that movie was horrible. I'm sorry.
I was awful.
Oh
But
my
getting back to
god.
season 2 of
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
She-Hulk, not looking likely actually at all.
Okay.
Not looking likely at all. So there was a recent interview with Extra, right? And Maslany addresses She-Hulk attorney at law's chances at a season 2 renewal. Like actually straight up addressed it, and it really sounds bad, which I think is pretty self-evident as to why they're sort of running all this cover now, saying it's just a prank, bro. Don't you worry about it. It's just a prank. Um, so they say in a disappointing update, the She-Hulk actress reveals that she hasn't heard any talk about another season. That's not new, but there's even more to be revealed here. And you can kind of read between the lines. She says, I mean, I don't think so yet. Kevin in the scene seems to be very dismissive of this idea. So if we're basing this off of the real Kevin, it doesn't seem likely. So obviously, in the last scene, you didn't know this, but they made a robot Kevin Feige who interacted with She-Hulk. Jed Walters basically saying, yeah, no, we're not going to do much more with you. No, no, no. So she's talking about that as a representation of the real Kevin Feige. But then they continue, says, but he was also, I think, just trying to get rid of Jen because she was asking too many questions. I don't know. If I could be coy and I have some little secret, I would do that, but I really don't. I don't know anything. And this is,
Yes, she
the
does.
thing that,
Yes.
well, you say she does. I mean, they are always the last to know, right? Like we know that
Well,
much.
but actors in general, but Tatiana's, a star. And I think she
Yeah,
would have heard I think she would have heard something by now. I think she's heard, like, well, you said, like, read between those lines. Uh,
I don't think she's heard anything, or she's only heard negativity. Because look at this.
or
It's the
she's
worst rated Marvel show. The
oh my
worst
god.
rated Marvel show.
Wow.
The worst.
And that's
I
coming
mean,
from Miss Marvel, right? That was the last one
mm,
before it. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
Well, you think she's heard something? What do you think? Do you think there's going to
Well,
be one? Because I don't. I don't think so at all.
I just think with stars in their teams, they have such a rigorous schedule, just as far as shooting schedule. It's so far in advance. It's booked far in advance.
Mm.
So, um,
Well, you're
I know she
you're
was
right with
vying to
Marvel.
be
Yeah,
on.
they would have to be booked quite in
Yeah,
advance, wouldn't they? Really?
I just think the bigger the actor, the longer, the more advanced they're just booked out. That's just how a lot of
Mm.
these bigger names are. I would I did hear about her wanting to make an appearance on Daredevil because they're literally shooting right now, and she was like,
Yes,
"Sign,
you are right.
yeah, I need a
Yeah.
contract. Sign me up." That means that's not good, man.
Begging and pleading is not a good sign, is it? Really?
I don't know how that. How was their chemistry? Was it any good? Was it like like entertaining at all?
Well, so here's the thing, right? Like Tatiana's a good actress, so her and Charlie Cox is a good actor, right? So them bouncing off one another, they did quite well. But it's is it changing the characters so much where it doesn't really work? You've got like you've got like Daredevil saying, "Oh, my butt remains unwhipped" or something like that, and then they proceed to go and bone one another. It's way off the reservation. So as much as they interacted well, because obviously they did, because they're good actors and they're both likable, so they both got that natural charisma. I don't know if I'd want to see them interact again because of where they took the characters.
What's this? Now you're talking about the material. So you had two quality actors, but you had
Yeah.
subpar material. And it just goes to show you, no matter how good the actors are, you got to have a good story.
Well, again, goes back to your comment of the
Mm.
writing's a prank at this point.
Writing's a prank. It really is.
Oh dear, oh dear.
You
Dear,
know,
oh dear.
and
So I don't think it's coming back for a second season. I think yeah, I don't know. There's a whole lot of things like that haven't been greenlit for a second season, although they've sort of revealed tentatively their kind of work. Like Moon Knight, for instance, they've been saying that they're tentatively working on that now for a second season. Um, but nothing else. I don't think anything else except for Loki. Loki's been obviously for a second season, but what else? Like WandaVision's not going to have a second season. Falcon and Winter Soldier's not going to have a second season.
Miss
Um,
Marvel.
Ms. Marvel's not. That's going straight to a movie. So maybe this is just their way of introducing the character now with an epic waste of money and then chuck it into a movie, maybe rather than do an origin film and spend like $200 million. They're just doing an origin series instead. But I don't think it's coming back.
It would be. I would like to see her in a movie though, not a She-Hulk movie, but
Hmm.
you know,
Well, how
hey,
do you
I don't
mean then?
know.
You'd like to see her in a movie, but not a She-Hulk movie?
No, no, I like to see She-Hulk, but in like an Avenger movie or something,
Oh,
kicking
yeah,
ass. Yeah.
yeah. I'll give you that for sure. I'll give you that for sure. Um, yeah. I wouldn't mind that. I'd like to see where they would take the character. Put it that way. I don't think it bodes particularly well based on the series. If you'd seen it, it didn't bode. It didn't bode very well, and also like it doesn't matter really where they take the character anymore, or even the future of the MCU if you stand by the last episode of She-Hulk. Because if you go with the last episode of She-Hulk, she can just step out and confront the writers at any minute. So she has this sort of all-encompassing power now where she could just change the course of anything she's in. This is, oh God, you didn't see the last episode, so this is why, ladies and gents watching, like I'm sort of trying to breeze through this, still talk about it, but also breeze through this part of the aftermath, because obviously we can't really engage properly because Paulie,
Yeah, maybe I should
checked out after episode 3.
Yeah, maybe I should retract that last statement. Like until I see the whole season, like of saying I really like Tatiana so much, but maybe I don't want to see her.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's shuffle on to. Oh no, hold on. No, we've got to stay on She-Hulk. We can enjoy this together.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got the British Kevin Smith, Simon Pegg.
Oh,
and
God.
He has comments on She-Hulk, and I want you to watch it.
Please.
And I want you to tell me your instant thoughts, because I had thoughts. So we can all just watch this together.
I just watched the finale of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and I've got to say, I think that show is the best thing Marvel have done since Endgame. I think it's fucking brilliant. It's really funny. I love its self-reflexivity. That last episode was like blazing fucking saddles. It was great. Tatiana Maslany is the bomb, and I would like to marry her in an alternate dimension.
Okay. Well, I'm currently in Arizona right now, where especially in Phoenix, you see a lot of crackheads walking around on the streets. Home. Let's first of all, Simon, you're looking rather crackish. I mean, he looks horrible. He looks. He just finished a bender, Simon. So you're saying it's the best thing you've ever seen? What the hell? Shaun of the Dead. Oh my God, no. He's out smiling. I mean, why are you so serious?
He looks the most miserable person I've ever seen. Like, I loved it. He's like,
it was so funny. Wow. That's sad, man. That's sad. I still love his old stuff, but nah, dude, that's,
it looks like he's been kidnapped. It looks like he's been held hostage.
No, I swear to God, it looks like him and his crackish ways. It's just like, you are out of your mind, Simon. And he's all serious. At least Kevin sold it better. Wow.
Oh, he legit looks like he's been kidnapped. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen, and he's being dead serious, but I don't think I've ever seen someone like exclaim such positives whilst looking the most miserable I've ever seen.
Right. First of all, I just don't know why
it's the actors.
Yeah, I don't know why actors of this caliber or any caliber even do this stuff. These selfie videos and put them up. With you and at least he was like, he was like, oh, racism and Obi-Wan. So he was serious. This, that was
supposed to be selling positivity. Like, what's going on?
Right. That was just cringe. But then this is off. This is like when COVID first hit and the celebrities were singing like songs on Instagram to get people through. And you're like, dude, go raise your kids. Shut up.
Well, someone's just got like a gun to his head here, and he almost looks like he's reading off a script. Let's watch it again because it almost looks like he's reading off a script.
God, we're gonna watch it again. Here we go.
I just watched the finale of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and I've got to say, I think that show is the best thing Marvel have done since Endgame. I think it's fucking brilliant. It's really funny. I love its self-reflexivity. That last episode was like blazing fucking saddles. It was great. Tatiana Maslany is the bomb, and I would like to marry her in an alternate dimension.
Do you see how he's like looking down periodically? It looks like he's reading something.
Well, no,
It's
what he's
terrible.
doing is, he's trying to sell it. And he
The
keeps
least convincing way possible.
right, and it's so horrible how he's selling it. It's like
Oh,
the bomb. Yeah, the bomb.
it's
Okay,
awful.
1995 called. They want their tag back, dude. Uh,
Jesus.
the best thing since Endgame.
I know. I mean,
Uh,
I mean, what has come out since Endgame that was particularly good? I can't remember too much, to be fair. But I didn't think Endgame was
well,
that
I,
amazing
I don't
either.
want to. I don't want to steer the conversation down another.
Well,
I mean, I have a very unpopular opinion of one of the movies that I liked, but it's all very forgettable stuff.
yeah,
You know,
it's funny, isn't it? Now these celebrities try and die on these hills of these insta forgettable series and movies that are just awful, and they're like, I'm just gonna die on this hill of saying this is the best thing ever. It's like, no, what are you doing? It's not
oh,
at all.
what I got too is that especially the beginning, and then because I guess at the end it's like I want to marry her in a different universe, alternate universe. That's him trying to be funny. Um,
Mm,
is that he's just so self-important at the beginning. Yeah, I'm incredible deep thought right now about some new
yeah.
project, but I just want to take a minute and just tell you how important She-Hulk is.
I'm
What
just
a
on my
douche.
lunch break. I'm just on my lunch break
Yeah.
here from, writing this incredible next script for this mind-blowing movie that you're going to see and you're going to love. But I just have to tell you how insanely good She-Hulk is, because it's even better than my thing that I'm writing. So, yeah, no one cares what you think, Simon. Like, you're literally the British Kevin Smith at this point. No one cares.
How?
This is
Let
not
me ask.
crying, I guess.
Yeah, is he connected to this project at all?
I don't think so, but what we'll be telling is if he's connected to things coming up, because that's what it seems like to me.
But it's almost like like it's like you're having that argument between in a family, between your kid and maybe in public, and then someone tries to interrupt and on how to
Mm.
oh God, you're speaking so loud, like I don't like how you're talking to your child, and then you say, don't interrupt, don't tell me how to talk to my child. That Simon Pegg is like that unsolicited bozo, like what? She-Hulk and Simon Pegg? Oh, okay. All right, dude.
Oh
You trying to
dear,
look
oh
for work,
dear.
bro? What's going on?
It does. It honestly, it does look like it, doesn't it? It looks like he's trying to. He's like, Disney. Like I said, this really good thing about this crap show. Can we talk, please? Here's my script that I paused
Yeah,
writing
that
to do that
that didn't
video
work
with.
out too well for yeah, that didn't work out well for Robert Rodriguez. He was hoping to get that Alita 2 if he did Book of Boba Fett. Come
Yeah,
on,
that's
guys.
true. That is true. And that's even the same with what's his name? Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott was signed on to do loads of Merlin films. And I think that was him trying to curry favor so he could do some alien stuff. But all he's been given is producer credits on the Noah Hawley um, Alien series instead, which is just
Yeah.
people just trying to suck up. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up really for She-Hulk, unless you've got anything else to say.
No, I just it's just incredible that there's so many elements, angles of media, and then the actors, and then Simon Pegg, goofballs. At the end of the day, over She-Hulk, like
I know.
it was
That's the hill
bad.
they want to die on.
That's the exactly.
Subjectively bad.
Thank you.
Objectively
Yeah,
bad. Yeah, I think
yeah,
we can
man.
shuffle on to other things. But before we do, ladies and gents, I just want to let you all know we've got some more people dropping in. Thank you for joining me live again. These will be regular. We've got our regular co-host Paulie here. We will have other guests dropping in. I've managed to secure quite a good group of individuals that will be dropping in from time to time. But just as a quick FYI for live streams now, they won't appear after the fact on the main channel. They'll be over on Mr. H reviews, live archives. So you can see it in the pinned comment at the top of this chat. It's in the description box. Please head on over there and subscribe to that channel. And there'll also be clips, you know. So if you've missed the start of the channel, or the stream or whatever, we'll be clipping certain bits that are specifically, you know, that I think you would like to watch, and just making it its own video. So please do head on over there. And head on over to Paulie's channel. That's in the description box as well. And if you want to join in the conversation or support what I'm doing with these live streams, super chats, and we'll get to them as well periodically between topics or during a topic if you want it to be the next topic. So worthwhile doing. But let's move on to something else, Paulie, now. Something which you did watch, which I'm sure, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but maybe you wish you didn't. Rings of Power?
That's politely saying that, yeah.
It's polite, is it?
That's polite. That's polite.
Tell me your. I don't know what your opinion is of Rings of Power. I've not asked. So give me your opinion of Rings of Power.
Well, you know, the first 2 episodes they dropped in the theaters like maybe like 2 days before. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, they did, didn't they? Yeah. Did you go watch it in the theaters?
I did. I went to go see it in the theater, and I took Chris Gore. I said, Chris, come on, let's go. And we did like the after thing. And
no way.
Those two, the first, so during those we're in the theater, you know, of course they like give you they give you $10 for, you know, for the popcorn and all that stuff. This was through Cinemark.
Sorry. So what? They gave you money?
Okay, so let me back up.
Sounds like they blackmailed you, mate.
Oh, totally. But I'm always very honest with my movie reviews. I'll come out of the theater. It's like, okay, I paid discount price, or I paid full price, or like I'm a club member at Cinemark. So, they offered all club members the chance to watch the first 2 episodes, just RSVP, and you get $10 off concession, $10 concession. So that's what we did, you know, and we went, and it was...
So let me just work out the math here. Sorry. So
no, please.
So you either got $10 off the concession.
$10.
So did you get free?
$10.
Did you have to pay to watch the Rings of Power, or did you go there for free?
It's free. It's free to members.
Right.
So
okay. So
$10
for members. So for members. So it's $10. So you pay to be a member $10 a month, right?
Correct.
And it was free for members, and then they chose to give you £10 or $10. Sorry,
$10
for food.
For food.
So they gave you a free month for subjecting you to the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power. Have I got that right?
That's a good equation. That's about right. Oh, that's funny, Mr. H. Yeah. But hey, you know, me and Chris we did that out of the theater review. We got that review got thousands of views because we were just like, what did we just walk out of? And
that $10 didn't do it for you then. It didn't grease your palms.
Well, it looked even worse on the big screen because you saw all the makeup. Oh yeah, man. The makeup. Yeah. It looked even cheaper. It looked cheaper on the big screen. It's like, that's supposed to be the opposite.
It's supposed to be the opposite. Like high def, you're supposed to be like, oh, I can appreciate it all. But really what you're doing is I can appreciate how cheap this looked.
Yeah, what did we see? I saw this Indian film in high def the other day. It's like, looks beautiful. And then, you see this, it's like, but anyways, so after that experience, I said, I'm not reviewing it every week. I'm going to watch it every week. I'm not going to review it. And it's just,
I can't believe they gave you 10. I'll give you a free month to watch this shite.
You're still tripping out on that, huh?
I can't get enough that you went to watch it as well. Like, what were your expectations going into it? Were you thinking it was going to be bad, or think it was going to be good? What were your expectations? Because you must have thought it might be okay for going there, or I guess for you it's for free. Technically, not they paid you, I guess. So like, what was the thought process to go watch it on the big screen?
Well, I mean, it's definitely good for the channel, right?
Of
And
course, yeah.
to cover it with Chris Gore, to treat like being here on this on your channel. It's like you make strategic moves. It's like, all right, well,
Hmm.
I know it's gonna suck, but let's go watch it with Gore, and that'll be a blast. And we had a blast with our reviews. But did I think it could have been good? No, because by then there was so much trailers, and then there was the dance move up the sword, and she's flying around.
Oh God, yeah, like
Right.
the Final Fantasy kind of moves going on there.
Well, in here we call it the Solid Gold move because it was a dance show called Solid Gold, and her partner was like,
Jesus.
"Yeah,
That was so
man. I
bad.
mean, to call it garbage is offensive to garbage because garbage is something you discard after you ate or something that you got a good use out of, and then it's like these are the
Yeah,
discards. That's an offense to garbage.
yeah. I cannot believe you went to watch it on that. I can obviously believe you went to watch it. I wonder what the discussion was on giving people $10. I wonder where that what that must have been. That must have been Amazon. So it's your theater that you're a member of, right?
Yeah,
That's the chain. That must have come from Amazon. Amazon must have subsidized them. They must have given
Amazon.
them money.
Well, to me, what Amazon and that's the connection with She-Hulk and a lot of this stuff is how they're spending money on the marketing. For the past year, what Amazon did with those super fans, Fellowship of Influencers. I mean, to me, this is tame to put it out in the theater the day before. I mean, Black Panther's doing that with Black Panther 1 and 2. That's kind of more tame than that other garbage we saw during the year of those influencers, and then you're finding out just how much they were paid, and these influencers ended up not even really watching it, but that's another story. Yeah, they probably did a deal with Cinemark. Cinemark's the chain of the movie theater.
Right.
So what they did not do is give any swag, which I thought was funny because I went to a Ghostbusters last year preview, and they gave us a Ghostbuster what do you call it, a mask.
Oh, that's cool.
It's cool because I had the Ghost logo on the mask, so I was like, I'll wear that.
That's cool.
But again, I always tell on my on every review, okay, I paid $5 to see it on YouTube. I went full price because you know audiences, man, they can smell BS and shills.
Yeah, you gotta be transparent.
Yeah. Thank you. Transparency. So yeah, and I'm such a fan of the Jackson trilogies, and I did read the books in my early adulthood, and then the last couple of years, I'm like, what is this? What is this? And yeah, I don't. When you're there's just so many things wrong with the show. It's so ridiculous that it's an accident. You just can't stop watching.
Yeah.
There was a scene in the ending. I believe it's the last episode. It's all a nightmare blur of watching. It really was. I wasn't even hate watching. It was like nightmare blur watching.
Oh, so we've breezed right past this you being blackmailed with $10. Then we're done. We're done with that now, are we? Are we done with that? Because I'm still hung up on that. Are we done with that? We can move on, but we've got to get Tom in if we're moving on.
Listen. Blackmail says then, like, I got to say something nice about it. No.
Well, you don't have to. They're trying to get you to say something nice, but we'll move past that.
They really tried. But with the way Gore said it, we were waiting in line to get the popcorn. He's like, screw it, man, I'll take it.
Oh dear. Right. Well, on that note, let's welcome our other guest, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, bring in live streams back. They are back with a difference. So if you want to interact with me, definitely do the super chats. We'll get to them periodically. So I will get to those super chats in a moment. And obviously, I just want to say thank you so much for Riff Magos becoming a member of the channel. Thank you so much. And then we'll get to the super chats in Memento. But we're getting guests in now and a regular panel involved. And one of the regulars will be Tom from Midnight's Edge. So welcome to the stream.
Good evening for
Good
you
old
and afternoon for others and whatever it is everywhere. Hello. Sorry
mid-morning
about being
for
late.
you. No, it's all
Actually,
good,
it's
man. It's all good.
mid-afternoon. I thought this was 4 o'clock my time according to Google, but Google lied. It's actually quarter to
Oh,
4 right now.
wow.
So yeah,
goddamn.
that's why I was so
Okay.
late. I apologize.
No, it's all
I
good. It's
actually
all
had
good.
another show I was on before this. I'm like, oh yeah, that should be right in between my shows, but I thought I had an
Yeah,
hour.
it's these things happen. But obviously, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Tom from Midnight's Edge and also Midnight's Edge After Dark. You'll find Midnight's Edge linked in the description box. They're friends of the channel. Please do go and head on over there. I'm sure you are already, but this is one of our regular panels. So, I mean, we've kind of breezed past the She-Hulk, unless you want to give your thoughts on She-Hulk overall, Tom.
I only watched the first 3 episodes and then part of the last
Literally
episode.
the same as Paulie then.
Yeah, like I really had,
Wow.
I fell out after that 3rd episode, and then the way everybody was talking about the show, I'm like, yeah, there's no reason for me to continue with this.
Wow.
But other than that, of course, I've been keeping up with all the behind the scenes nonsense for the most part. But no, I think overall that it's not going to get a 2nd season. I'm sure it was a bad experiment. It had a lot of potential. But sadly,
didn't it? It genuinely actually
unrealized.
Had potential.
Yeah.
Well, what do you make of the comments now? Them saying that they did it to troll fans. I mean, I reckon that's just them running cover. You didn't do this to troll fans. You thought this would land.
Well, definitely maybe not the entire thing, but definitely the bits with the bad guy. And I'm not convinced now so much. Like at first, like the whole Doomcock thing, I was like, I don't know about that. It's just they're probably doing like just an anonymous thing. But then between that and the more attacks that they made on YouTubers, between just that pettiness, it almost and just the way they presented the character and certain things, to me at this point, I'm not so much convinced that they didn't. And this is a typical move of certain people when they know they're, because they even say they tried to preconceive what the fans were going to say. And even the article was like, oh, how do you feel about getting it right? Well, they didn't get it right. Because some people nobody really overall hated the series. The biggest thing I hear from everybody is just unrealized potential, right? Because this could have been like an Ally McBeal meets Night Court type show in the Marvel universe, and it just didn't.
It's because the character's actually really well liked as well. That's the main thing.
That too,
like that character.
Yeah, she's a very beloved character, and that's what I noticed because I've never been a big fan of She-Hulk, but I'm not a big fan of derivative characters in general. But I do know whenever I bring it up, people are like, "Oh no, you just don't understand. She-Hulk is this, and she's kind of her own thing." And so yeah, I get she's got kind of a cult following of sorts, if not more than a cult following. But from what I hear about what everybody says about the series compared to the original character, it's like this series is the absolute opposite of everything She-Hulk is. So it's like, how does that work? Like down to things like her personality. Like she's not like this, neurotic, man-hating witch in the comics. She's very confident and she loves men and so on and so forth, but she doesn't act like a slut of sorts like she does on this show, from what I've heard. And same thing with like the fourth wall breaking. It's much better utilized in the comics. And like at her job, she's not allowed to be She-Hulk in the comics, to where this is the opposite, which it's like, why would you do that unless you're going to do something interesting with it? And, them admitting that they don't know anything about courtroom drama or how courtroom works right there tells you a lot.
Egregious, isn't it? I mean, that's just egregious as hell. They didn't even get anyone on board that knew about it. So they're just like, yeah, we don't know anything, so whatever. We're just going to make it up. Like, what?
Yeah, no, I didn't have much more to say other than, just their hubris and the attack on fans was just unnecessary, and it didn't do anything more than just stir the shit up some more.
I think your point's good though. Unrealized potential. Paulie, I guess like is that how you saw it as well, or do we just like no, this is shit? I just can't be bothered.
Well, uh, I would say it had a lot of potential until I started watching it. I mean, I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I could kind of get. I know that they're trying to be funny, but when you're being schmactery, right? Actor
Yeah.
schmactery. It's like you're being funny just to yourself, right? And so
Yeah, it seemed that's
just
no, that's a good
didn't
point.
work for me.
It did seem like it was just an in joke between everyone there. It was like, yeah, this is great. We're finding this really funny. It's like no one else is though. Like that's not funny at all.
Well, these guys don't even know how to write a joke, and I've seen it a few times in the show that I did watch. Like a great example is very early on. You have the part where they insist that she's She-Hulk at work, and she goes, "Oh, I like this suit." So naturally, the joke only works if in the next scene you see her as She-Hulk and the suit is all ripped up to shreds, right? It's not. It
Yeah.
doesn't get destroyed at all. So you're like,
Yeah.
that's not how a joke works. You know, even that is a simple, basic idea. And even though it's not a great joke, it's like you can't even get that right.
Mm.
There's a lot of moments like that where they just don't quite get the joke themselves. I think it's like, no, there's a better joke here, but you guys are just shit writers.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely concur. Completely concur. Yeah, you're completely right. Let's jump onto some super chats real quick before we go on to Rings of Power, because Paulie's already revealed that he got bribed to watch Rings of Power.
I honestly watched
Um,
20 minutes of it, so that I have very little to add to as well, outside of behind the
oh
scenes
no,
stuff. Yeah.
that's what you still chip in though, because the memes are the
Yeah.
best thing ever. Annie McCallum dropping in with a super chat. So anyone doing super chats, thank you so much. It goes a long way. It supports the channel. It helps out doing these streams. It's a big contributor, and also it's you putting your 2 cents in with the discussion. So thank you. It says, I'm doing a 2000 celebration stream sometime in December. If you can, I would love to have you on that stream. It's great to have you back stream. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a long time since streaming. I'm back now. We're back. We're going to do this regular. Tuesdays and Thursdays is the aim. So we will be as regular as possible. And again, links in the description box for Missed H Reviews live archives. Head on over there. That's where these will be, not deposited on the main channel, although they go out on the main channel. But yeah, happy to drop in and do that stream with you for sure. Why not? And congratulations on 2000. Donovan Bradford drops in and says, super happy to have you back, to have these back. Hope all is well. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, good. All's good. I'm glad to be back here doing it. Katie says, do the Megan Thee Stallion rap again. I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. I rapped Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Heavens no. Annie McCallum dropping in with a £2 super sticker. Thank you so much. Although we can't see the super stickers on here. I should probably head on over to the YouTube bit so I can actually see it. But yeah, let's
the Andy McCallum super sticker is fist bumps.
Fist bumps
Yeah.
right back. Let's talk about Rings of Power then. So Paulie's already revealed, Tom. I don't know if you've heard this already. You're waiting in the wings. Maybe you've heard it. Maybe Paulie's revealed it another occasion. But he was blackmailed to watch Rings of Power. Did you know this, Tom?
Until now, this is news to me. Sorry, I was typing in the background. I didn't think you were.
It worked out perfectly. Stunned silence. It worked regardless.
I can't see anybody really wanting to watch this any other way, I guess. I mean, if somebody paid me, I mean, maybe. But it's like, is that worth $10 an hour? And how many hours you got to watch? You get $10 for each episode or just for the whole thing? If you got that for the whole thing, you got screwed.
No, it was
dropping
the first 2 episodes in the theater. I know, man. First 2 episodes in the theater, we got $10 concession.
Oh yeah, that. Well, free food goes a long way, but
not with this. So So yeah, so Paulie, did you like the overall season? Yes
No.
or no? No.
No.
Okay. That's a firm no. Can't even ask that again. No.
How dare you?
Tom, you didn't even watch it, did you? So you definitely didn't like it.
No, well, like I watched the first 20 minutes as soon as you got Elrond doing poetry in a tree. I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out, basically. Excuse my French, but like that's not Elrond, and the whole Galadriel thing in the beginning was just too grating for me. And she'd only had like 2 scenes before that, so it was like, if I can't get through this much of the show, there's no way I'm getting any farther than this. So I checked out early on, and I usually don't like. I'm one of those people where, at this point with this whole thing, it's like if I don't get something out of the first 2 or 3 episodes, or can't even get into the first episode unless Andre forces me to watch it, I'm not going to waste my time, because time is precious, and I don't have a lot of it to be wasting watching 8 hours of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power shit that's going to suck.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, so obviously, you know, we're talking about the aftermath. I just thought I'd get like your brief, you know, or both of your thoughts briefly on the shows. But this is the aftermath, and this is where we're sitting on that aftermath. We've got an 82% critics score, which we'll get to, because when we all say that's a bit sus, I've got to show you why it's sus. And we've got a 39% Rotten Tomatoes score. Now, I would say that remove the critic score out of the way, right? Because we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think the 39% is probably accurate in terms of the audience score. What do you guys think?
Yeah, probably. It's probably one of the more accurate ones out there, maybe, I guess. Considering it's Rotten Tomatoes, I'm surprised.
I mean, it's pretty high, no? It should be lower.
So the reason I give it the benefit of the doubt, just because of the reach that Amazon Prime has. So it's a bigger net that it's being casted out to. So the percentage, the ratio, it will be more favorable for those, you know, with bad taste, I guess.
Yeah, that's too high. Both of them are too high.
Well, I think the critic one is going to start going down here, but I think you may be getting to that, Mr. H. So yeah,
I am getting to that. So this is the aftermath, and this is why I wanted. We've spoken. So there was a point to this stream title, ladies and gents. So we've spoken about the aftermath from She-Hulk, them coming out blaming the fans, season 2 not happening, all this kind of stuff. Now the aftermath from Rings of Power is a very interesting one. And I posted a tweet about it, and I said 10 guesses, or take your guesses now, as to when mainstream media will completely reverse their opinions on Rings of Power. And this goes to my point here about this 82% being too high, because it is too high. Because, ladies and gents, and people, you know, Tom, Paulie, they're already starting to change their opinion already. The Guardian, now it's over. Let's come out and say it. The Rings of Power was a stinker. They loved it.
Yeah. It was a different critic, but yes, yeah, it's hilarious how some of these are being hedged after the fact, I guess. But yeah, we saw this as well. There's been a couple other ones. There was a few that I couldn't believe up front that weren't.
Yeah, well, I've got
too nice about it.
Article we're going to go through as well.
Well, what's funny is the original review that the Guardian had. Speaking of hedging, actually, because that's where it actually comes into play. They were hedging their shit more in there, because like they're making tons of excuses for the show, just like every other critic was in the positive reviews. It's like, you know, it really smelt of desperation on Amazon's part, basically begging and paying for yeah, exactly. And yeah, at this point it's too big to fail, so they can't afford it to get this kind of reaction. But I think Andre and I are under the impression that a lot of these critics and magazines and websites and whatnot, outlets and media outlets, they're going to have to save face. They can't sit here and keep kissing these guys' ass forever and expect everybody to follow along anymore. Because fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Thing
Yeah.
that I always fuck up, just like the president. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
yeah.
kind of where we're at with this whole thing, and nobody trusts the media anymore. So they're going to have to start being more honest about this shit. We saw it kind of with Thor: Love and Thunder, and a little bit with Doctor Strange. There was a few more reviews that weren't as nice as they normally would be. Especially, I was kind of surprised with Thor: Love and Thunder didn't get nearly as much love as I expected it to be getting, as far as being a Marvel property. But it was a matter of time, and you can't lie to the public forever and expect them to buy your bullshit. So
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to put it. I think I think it's too little too late though. Because you had egregious comments by the head of Amazon going, yeah, we hid reviews that we didn't agree with, so whatever. And no one called them out. Literally no one called them out. They openly, freely admitted that they censored reviews, but no one called them out. People reported on it and said, yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah, it's fine. No one called them out on it. Everyone just completely put out all these nonsensical positive reviews, which are very clearly not. I mean, we say very clearly. It's obviously it wasn't people's opinions, just in general. Obviously, we know that this is a different reviewer, but it's still the editor. The editor's approving it. It's a media outlet. It's an approved platform. There's no way that the Guardian would look to change a narrative. That they're trying to push a uniform narrative. They don't have one reviewer doing them all, so they're still trying to push a uniform narrative that these reviewers are working within, and now they're completely flip-flopping on that. So it's too little too late in my eyes. And this one, I mean, they're like, when the Lord of the Rings of Power debuted at the same time as House of Dragon, much noise was made about which show attracted more eyeballs. According to Nielsen, it was conclusive victory for Tolkien, with the Rings of Power viewers watching the first 2 episodes for 1.25 billion minutes compared with House of Dragons 741. But over the week, something strange has happened. House of Dragon has sucked up the spotlight because it's good. It has attracted tweets, theories, memes, discussions, all on a rolling boil since the first episode. Meanwhile, if the Rings of Power has been seen anywhere, it was only in places paid for by Amazon. I think that's them gaslighting us. I think that we can call that surely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's not like the most egregious example of gaslighting. I don't know what is.
Pretty much, and I think we came to the similar conclusion. So yeah, like this whole Rings of Power thing has been nothing but a gaslight from the very start. I mean, and I think this review does a pretty good job of pointing that out. About they were more worried and concerned with basically getting Lord of the Rings than actually executing it. So yeah.
Well, I think the funniest part about this is, Paul, it goes back to you being bribed here, mate. Paid for.
Yeah, I've just been really quiet, just really contemplating my life choices the last 10 minutes. So, you guys really turned me around on this whole thing, and I might need to do an apology video taking the bribe.
Well, you didn't take the bribe in the way that it was intended. You didn't.
I took the popcorn.
Review, so it's fine. You took the Was it sweet or salted, or was it mixed?
We deserve full disclosure as a
transparency.
Audience, transparency, yes.
I did that in our live video when we and I always do that. Yeah, this was paid through my club card. I paid, and then for every movie, I'll just say, I paid full price. But
he actually does, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not ripping. I don't think you're compromised remotely.
No,
I
don't.
But with respect to this, I mean, this is absolute gaslighting, saying that they are, paying for stuff. There are billboards and adverts and Amazon, blah blah blah. But in terms of spontaneous, organic excitement, it has been a wilderness. And basically, they just go on to say how it just isn't very good, is what they sum it up with. 3 words: isn't very good. Inept as well. And apparently this person found himself laughing into his sleeve about it all. All right. Weirdo. But I mean, it just goes to show, doesn't it, how quick the media turns and the absolute gaslighting. I don't think Forbes were. I think Forbes were negative from the off, weren't they? Does anyone remember what Forbes were?
I believe they were a little bit more up front. Yeah, if I remember right, I think theirs was one. Because again, we got to remember a lot of these come from different critics, and I think sometimes even have multiple critics for different outlets. Because I think like Mendelsohn gave it a pass, but like the other Forbes reviewer did kind of give it a bad review. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think Entertainment Weekly gave it one of the more savage ones though, which was surprising. But yeah,
well, so Entertainment Weekly was the most egregious example of paid for advertising because they gave it a savage review. And what I mean by that is they were putting out, article after article, puff piece after puff piece. They're the ones that did that ridiculous like sitcom intro of all the characters like turning around, looking at the camera, waving their hair, looking like absolute dipshits. And then they come out with their review upon embargo release, and they're like, yeah, shit. And you're like, you've just been praising it. What?
Well,
literally yesterday you gave out a good review.
I don't know who owns Entertainment Weekly now, but it used to be owned by, I think, the same company, Time Life, the Warner Brothers company. So if that's still the case, they may have been glad to say, yeah, we'll take your money for an advertisement. And then I'm sure there was nobody higher up to say, no, you can't say this bad review about Rings of Power. Because that's the thing, is at that time, Warner and them were not seeing eye to eye. But since then, I've heard some things about checks being cut, and now they're listed as a production company, even though they had nothing to do with the actual production. And I think from what I heard, it has more to do with characters. Like supposedly Gandalf showed up at the end there, basically, or was the guy that fell from the sky or whatever it was.
Yeah, so they hinted that he was Gandalf. He said, "Follow your nose."
Yeah, and I think they have to. I think they have to pay for that. So like that's kind of what's going on here. So.
Well, I mean, this Forbes article is hilarious. I mean, literally just the title alone, the Rings of Power season 1 review, Amazon's arrogant betrayal of the Lord of the Rings, and I mean that came out today. So I mean, it's pretty scathing. It's absolutely brutal. Making wild, reckless changes to the Legendarium in the processes, abandons Tolkien's lore. Even specific commentary about the showrunners themselves created their own story. Everything that we've been saying, parroting, that we got called bigots and ists and phobes for, they've now just come out and agreed with us, which is hilarious. Absolutely filled with the cheap mystery boxes and unsurprising twists. How bad has this show dropped the proverbial Palantir?
It's funny they use the term mystery boxes, considering the showrunner's connection to J.J. Abrams and the phone call to J.J. that got him the job in the first place.
Well, so I mean, you explain that like to anyone watching this.
Okay, well, J.J. Abrams. I mean, clearly most people know who he is, but he was touted for the longest time as the next Spielberg. And one thing Steven Spielberg was well known for in Hollywood was ushering in new filmmakers. And back in the 80s, especially, all you had to do was slap Steven Spielberg Presents on it, and it was a hit, guaranteed. Yeah. And he did know talent. Like, it was because of him that we have guys like Robert, Zemeckis and Joe Dante, and just to name a couple, that he kind of ushered into the main Hollywood mainstream. And because of that, J.J. Abrams fancied himself the next Steven Spielberg, and it's not all his fault. Hollywood and people around him probably gave him that idea. And just like Steven Spielberg, he wanted to get into producing and helping young filmmakers up and coming. So he has a lot of people that he's helped out. And what he has as well is a lot of people that are loyal to him, and they're basically dug into Hollywood, into almost every project out there, like ticks. And these guys are just another example of the many. Matthew Vaughn is an example of one of them. There's a lot of them out there. Like I said, it's not as surprising in almost every single project nowadays. If it's a reboot of some type, there's generally one of his acolytes, as we like to call them, involved somehow. It just never seems to fail. And even when they are involved, he somehow gets brought up. And this is a prime example, not to be punny with Amazon Prime, but when McKay and Payne basically said, "Yeah, we called Daddy JJ and he got us a job because for 10 years we wrote and wrote and wrote and never got a job, and now we do." To me, it's like, if you've been working for 10 years and you ain't got a job yet, that's you. You're the problem. So, oh, we lost Paulie.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he'll drop back in when he can. Yeah, I mean, you're right there. Like, so something we'll talk about in a minute, which leads into this anyway. We talk about Rings of Power for a little bit longer, but what leads into this is how so Patrick McKay and JD Payne, they had written Star Trek 4. They'd written a Star Trek 4 story, and it was awful. But again, it's ties to JJ Abrams, and but even if he didn't want to approve that script, you know, obviously taking it to is it Paramount? Yeah, it's Paramount, isn't it? That do the Star Trek stuff. So even he didn't want to take that to Paramount on their behalf, but he's happy to call up Amazon because he doesn't have a working relationship with them, and just be like, "Yo, can these guys come and work for you, please?" But he has a working relationship with Paramount, so I reckon that's why you know that.
Well, Star Trek 4 just fell apart because they couldn't get the actors to sign on, and they were the ones that famously came up with the concept of Kirk going back and meeting his dad. There was no way that was going to get made because at that point, Chris Hemsworth, who played his dad in the first film, would have cost way too much with Chris Pine and everybody else. And that was the problem they kept running into, is getting funding. Nobody wanted to put, because as you know, the last movie didn't make any damn money. That's why. So yeah, we're never going to get a Star Trek 4. JJ is desperate to get a Star Trek 4 made because I think the clock is ticking on his license agreement with them. So it should have been up already by some people's standards, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think Discovery and some other things that he got involved in kind of tangentially helped move that along. But welcome back, Paulie.
Yeah, well, welcome back, Paulie. But isn't it just absolutely incredible that JJ Abrams just phones up Amazon and gets them the job?
What's more incredible is they admitted it. That's the thing to me.
Yeah,
that's the thing to me. I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm more surprised that they admitted it, because that's the thing. Because the other part they said in the interview that blew my mind is they said, for 10 years we've been working, and I think they've even been working closely with JJ besides the Star Trek thing. But they're like, for 10 years we were working. We had the right director, the right actors, all this stuff together, but the movie never happened. And it's like, well, if that's the case, and it's been 10 years. Sounds like you're the fucking problem here. I mean, if you've been dating a guy for 10 years and he doesn't ask you to marry him, that's not going to happen. And this is just find a different guy, because at this point you're not going to get married to this one. And yeah, JJ doing them this favor probably because he felt bad about the Star Trek thing, to be honest with you, Mr. H. I don't think it was so much that he was afraid to take, because JJ is so desperate, and I mean so desperate to get a Star Trek 4 off the ground. He's willing to do anything.
Well, like, good money for him, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that Hollywood is starting to figure out too, is that the only people who seem to make money off of these Bad Robot productions is Bad Robot. So like that's kind of becoming the saying in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, bad reboots.
I mean,
so please.
Nepotism isn't exclusive to Hollywood, but
no,
you know, the way it shows the ugly side right there. And also too, when these people talk, the two showrunners, you realize they have no idea what material they have on their hands. And it's just it's almost embarrassing to hardworking writers and directors and actors that are doing great work, or at least trying to read something like that. But I'm not surprised, man. It's just a joke. If the writing was the prank in She-Hulk, then those guys are the freaking joke of this whole Amazon. It's really insulting to the Tolkien fandom. It's really it's depressing. It's insulting. It's, like I said, to call it garbage is an offense to garbage.
Paulie there with the brutal but very realistic home truth. about Lord of the Rings. Let's just get to some super chats real quick. I think we got one here. Jerry A sent in $4.99. Says She-Hulk was a mess, and the fact Gal used her platform to troll Marvel fans is disgusting. Feige needs to rein it in. Cheers, mate. Well, I guess just as a quick aside before we move on to the Rings of Power a little bit more, what do you guys hear about Gal saying that she was going to resign over the Kevin Feige hack?
It's funny. I'm editing a video in the background as we're right now about this. Well, I thought
take it away then. You
hilarious.
Take it away.
Well, we had Script Doctor on, and he said, as a writer, that basically shows that she doesn't know what she's doing.
Fill everyone in on the overall story.
Oh yeah, sorry. Basically, what she said was, and this is her version of the story. Yeah, she freely, and this is where Script was just beside himself, I'm sure, as a writer, going, I can't believe she admitted this.
Dumbfounded. The
story goes that she wanted to. They were doing this whole thing in the last episode where She-Hulk breaks out of the show and goes and tries to talk to the writers and ask them why they're pushing this nonsense in the show. And so she goes in to the writers, and the writers are like, well, it's all up to Kevin. And Kevin turns out to be this robot that basically runs the Marvel universe as a haha in joke to Kevin Feige. Well, to make it a little bit more of a joke, or to add a little fun to the whole shebang, so people kind of who know Kevin Feige would get it, she wanted to add a big baseball cap to it, because Kevin Feige, who has a very large receding hairline, is always seen wearing baseball caps, and he's well known for loving his fitted baseball caps. So she thought that'd be a cute little addition to this robot Kevin. Kevin didn't get the joke. He didn't see a reason why a robot would have a baseball cap. And I guess they argued to the point where she felt that so passionate that she would walk, even though it's conveniently on the writing of the last episode, she was going to walk if she didn't get her fucking way. And Kevin, actually, in the one time that he probably had a moment of clarity, said, well, we're so proud of the work you've done for us, but we're so sorry to see you go. And at that point, she realized that he called her bluff. And I guess for the next 20 minutes, a bunch of hubbub around the whole deal happened, according to her. And somebody in the visual department, a guy
who
said
who she admits has mediated before,
yes. Even though this is supposedly the only time Kevin said, no, I don't buy that part of it. But I do believe that most of this story went down now, especially after talking about it more recently with Script Doctor and stuff in the video we're doing now, and some of the things that I've recently discovered about Gal. But anyway, just in general. So like after a bit, the guy came to the conclusion, why don't we just make it part of the design? And then that way it doesn't, and then they explain that to Kevin, and he's like, oh yeah, well that makes sense then. He's like, yeah, it'll look like a hat, but it's not really a hat. And Script Doctor's point is she should have come up with that idea. In fact, that should have been the default if he wouldn't let her just have the actual baseball cap, right? Like she clearly wanted the baseball cap as the visual joke. Okay, well, if you can't have an actual baseball cap, the next thing you do is, well, you work it into the design. He's like, that's your next default. He's like, sometimes a writer's room is basically a negotiation, right? And it's about, and the good writer's room, you do have other writers who challenge you. And he's even talked about where he has a list of things that he asks himself after every time he writes something, to make sure that he's, keeping himself on point, even when he doesn't have anybody to bounce those things off of, to make sure that all those things and points and questions and everything is answered in the story that he's telling. This just shows how unprofessional she is, on top of inept she is, how stupid she is, because she couldn't even come up with this on her own, that she was willing to put herself on the line just for that stupid joke. It just tells you everything you need to know about this woman. And go ahead. Sorry, Paulie.
No. I had a question for you.
Yeah.
What's her prior work of merit?
Basically, she's worked on Rick and Morty. And I think she worked on a show for NBC, but I don't think it went anywhere.
So Nate, I do have something to say about writers in general lately, but I want to wait. I want to wait till after Tom's done.
Well, that's basically the gist of it. And then so like after that, it all settled down supposedly, but it's like that story in and of itself just makes her look so stupid.
But it
And
also
she's
makes her
probably
look.
telling in a way to where it makes she looks like, ah ha ha, I got one over on Kevin Feige, when it's really like, no, you needed a man to help you fix your problem you should have been able to fix on your own.
So, well, you're not wrong, but it also makes her look really mean and mean-spirited.
Exactly,
Because
to add into the
Kevin
toxic fan
Feige,
thing, yeah.
Kevin Feige is very sensitive about his receding hairline. That's why he wears that.
Clearly.
So, what a mean-spirited joke. You know,
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
mean,
put
he was on
your
board with the whole
whole.
Kevin bot and everything. Like, why take it that much farther? If Kevin says, no, I think that's just a little too, like, you respect that. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Like,
Just such a mean-spirited joke, like nasty. That's yeah. And the narcissism of the woman to be like, well, I'm just gonna quit then. See ya. It's like, all right then. Bye.
well, how much is it
She's
really like she putting on the line there? Like I said, it's the last damn episode. Like,
well, I guess she's thinking, oh, this will look real bad for Marvel, you know, the
yes,
lead writer
exactly.
leaving on the last episode or some crap like that. Even though they'd have things in place.
Even if
where
they
wouldn't
hadn't
be able to
shot
talk about it.
anything yet, my point is, it's like most of the work's already been done. Do you really think they're going to go
Yeah.
back and redo everything unless a new showrunner comes in just for one episode? No.
Oh, it's just outrageous.
They were just going to finish it off without her, and that's it. So, like, let's be real.
Outrageous. So yeah, like to go back to Jerry A's super chat here, Feige, I guess he tried to rein it in, but it sort of failed because some mediator came in and sort of mediated it all.
Yeah, I guess they actually butted heads over the bathroom scene early on, but according to her, this was the only time like, that's the thing, is her stories never add up. So yeah, like, and yeah, to answer your other question, Paulie, as far as the Rick and Morty thing, her big claim to fame there is she created Pickle Rick.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think this, you guys hit it on the nail as far as this like complete narcissism of this generation of I say loosely, guys, creators and in Marvel and G4 and even other these other shows that get abruptly canceled is their behavior on social media after the fact. It's not. This is not just a one-off, right? And I shared with Tom yesterday this one writer, and it's like this thing where it's like, let's behave as badly as we can and do crap work and have no work ethic or standards, on how to work. Talking, I mean, whatever we have, as far as our opinions on Kevin Feige, that's your boss. That's your boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fundamentally,
right. He's the man. And if it was whatever. What I'm saying is that, who are you? That's Kevin Feige. Who are you? Give us a hit show. Then you can show off your character a little bit. Maybe. But then you're just probably seeing the writing on the walls that you're gonna be out of a job. You're not gonna have that this She-Hulk's done, G-Force done, this thing, this illness with these modern writers and directors, whatever. It's that they go on social media, bitch and complain, or articles, bitch and complain. I've never seen this before. And then actors of merit doing the same thing. Then it's like, oh, I'm out of work. Here's my GoFundMe. Help me out until I get my next gig. Writers are actually doing that. They're actually doing that. And I'm like, you know what? I ain't going to give you a damn cent.
But I guess money. This, I mean, that goes to like a wide, no, let's talk about this for a little while. I mean, that's an interesting point, isn't it? I mean, that's the narcissism of Hollywood intersecting with social media, right? Before, they were probably narcissistic, but we never got to see it so much. Not on this level, right? They never had a consistent outlet to spew their nonsense to the masses. But they do now. So I'm
Right.
seeing
And
it.
mind, yeah,
Yep.
and mind you, I'm going back to this work ethic because they're just so anti-work, anti-capitalism. But as soon as they're out of a
Living
job, as
off
soon as
of
they
it.
can't,
Which is
yeah,
funny because most actors, as you know, Paulie, and I'm sure you'll tell, they spend a lot of the day just sitting around waiting to get waiting to be filmed.
yeah, and you're talking about
Tough job.
if they're on set working, waiting for to be
Yeah,
called
you're
on.
just sitting around waiting a lot of the time for your call. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you rush, you're what is it? Rushing to
Hurry up
wait.
and wait.
Hurry up and
That's
wait. Thank you. Romy, my other half, who's an actor in the business, she calls it mitigating the downtime.
yeah.
You have to be such a grounded person, whether you're an actor or a writer, director, just to navigate in this business, Nate. It's to survive and not be not buy into the narcissism, like we talked about with Simon Pegg, Mr. Kraken himself, taking himself so seriously in that stupid selfie video. I just have a few things to say about She-Hulk.
Doesn't he come off like a creepy middle-aged man? And I know how do you say it? Tatiana Maslany.
I just watched the finale of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and I've got to say, I think that show is the best thing Marvel have done since Endgame. I think it's fucking brilliant. It's really funny. I love its self-reflexivity. That last episode was like blazing fucking saddles. It was great. Tatiana Maslany is the bomb, and I would like to marry her in an alternate dimension.
Wait, did he just slur a little bit there? Is he drunk?
No, Tom, his next line after that was like, "You got any change?"
Well, as I say, that comes off awfully creepy at the end, even though Tatiana is like 37 and he's like 50 something, but he still comes off as that weird middle-aged guy. But I didn't notice that before. He's like self-referential, he's trying to say, and it sounds like he's slurring his words there. So self-referential. Yeah.
Jesus. Awful. But yeah, no, you're the narcissism in Hollywood. Yeah, I guess it just comes out now via social media.
Yeah, and as long as you don't, insult the fans, well,
that's what it is, isn't it? It's almost like
that's what
the narcissism comes out as like a love of themselves, obviously, but then as a hatred towards everyone else. It's the oddest thing. It's like you and your agents chose a bad script, so you hate everyone that made you. What? No, we're rightfully criticizing your choices. You should want that so you can pick better to appease the people that made you what you are, right? And obviously it doesn't have to be like that all the time. Like, I get it, but then you don't have to sit there and lash out either. Again, that's that narcissism showing.
Well, what I was gonna say is that then we're surprised when they actually do the opposite action, where they actually verbally praise the fans. It's about the fans, oh yeah, oh my God, you're right. We forgot that we're important. Just because we're just so used to these creators just crapping on fans for being passionate. I take the word toxic, and it's like, it's passion, guys. It's passion. It's a passion response we have. But again, we're not talking about, are we talking about the work? Is anyone talking about the actual work? No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I guess to sort of to flip back to Rings of Power, does anyone else have anything they want to sort of finish up with Rings of Power? Anything else they want to say?
We're stuck watching this shit for the next few years, dealing with it at least for the next few years. So I mean, I guess at this point we just get to enjoy seeing how they shake it up every year, because I think Andre made this point yesterday, and I agree with him. This is Discovery 2.0, like Star Trek Discovery 2.0. I guarantee you every season is going to be like, we're resetting things, and it's going to be more like Lord of the Rings, and the fans will be happy, just like they did every season of Discovery tried to claim. And they eventually got a little closer and closer, it sounds like, with Strange New Worlds, and now with Picard season 3. But I think Lord of the Rings has a lot longer ways to go. And I don't know it'll be interesting to see what changes they make between now and season 2. I guess we got 2 years between now and then. So the beauty of it is Hopefully,
2
we won't be talking
years.
about it for another year or so. So yeah,
2 years.
I
They
guess
are
that's what
really
they
hedging
said.
their
Yeah.
Are you
bets. They're
serious?
hedging their bets on
Well, they're
people
stuck
being
making 50
interested.
hours of this crap no matter what. We've only got like roughly what 8.5, 9 hours of this stuff so far. So if
Well,
that,
I read that they'd only commit to 2 seasons. Like officially actually commit to 2 seasons.
I don't know about the season part. I just heard I know people said something about 5 seasons because I heard 50 hours. And the thing is they have to release at least more than I think it's either 3 or 4 episodes a season because the stipulation is all surrounded with the split. Speaking of Star Trek, there's a similar thing here with the split, but it's even worse than that was because the Saul Zaentz company had these rights for the longest time that covered all the trilogy of the books, The Hobbit, movies, television, and almost every other avenue. But this deal with Amazon was made through the Tolkien estate, and it was through loopholes in those deals. So basically, they're forced to do this the way they have to do it because of those loopholes. Now, the Embracer Group owns those rights. There's been a lot of money changing hands. I don't know where things are at right now,
Well, they're
but
already talking
originally
about
the
making
deal was,
movies.
Oh, let me ask you
yeah,
this before you go into that, Tom. Is the animated coming out before the second season? I know they're not related, but is the Lord of the Rings animated?
I
I
think
think
it
so. I think
is.
it comes out next summer. No, actually, there
Oh,
is
Yeah, I
no
think so.
relation. That was actually Warner Brothers did that on purpose
Yeah.
to retain the rights, and that's the thing is, I heard they may back off a little bit on that a little bit, but they're still going to release it and all that stuff. But before, their whole thing was to champion it to try and compete with Rings of Power. But now that there's been some money that's changed hands, I don't know if that's so much the case anymore. A lot of what I've been hearing about that has kind of gone cold on their end, so that means whoever made these deals is really trying to keep it hush hush. So
Apparently it comes out June
yeah,
there
2023.
you go.
yeah. As I say, yeah,
I,
next summer. Yeah.
I'm gonna be really interested to see the landscape of Lord of the Rings after that. I really hope it's
Yeah.
Well,
a huge
Embracer is
success.
supposed to be ramping up to do a lot of video game stuff. I'm sure they'll do some
Mhm.
tabletop gaming. There might be a lot
They've
of
said about
figures pushed,
movies.
and
They've
there's been
said about
talk of
films.
movies and stuff. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, goddamn. Interesting stuff. Let's gotta get to some super chats real quick. I can't pull them up because they would have gone too far up the chat now, but Chuck Donovan shot over $1. Thank you so much. Shinotsky sent over $1.99 and said nepotism for incompetence makes me want to give up. Fair enough. I see that there. And Josh Knight said, good seeing you, H. Much love. So again, thank you everyone just for sending in the super chats. It goes a long way to help support the channel and doing these live streams and things. And just for everyone that is kind of dropped in midway through this stream. This is obviously coming back with a bit of a bang. We've got regular co-hosts, Paulie, Tom, when he's available. Links to their channels are actually in the description box, so please do go and check them out. But this stream, although it's streaming on the channel, won't appear on the channel afterwards. It's going to appear on Mr. H Reviews live archives. You can find that in the description box as well. Head on over and subscribe to that. And there'll be clips from earlier in the stream that maybe you missed, or things which I think are quite funny and topical, which will appear as a clipped, just a singular video on its own, really. Just, when we start moving this forward and we've got some interesting, not there was very interesting stuff said in this stream, but, others as well, there'll be sole videos based around that. So there you go. Bit of housekeeping. And just
Nate,
real quick, we've got Valiant. Oh, sorry. Paulie?
Yeah. Just wanted. I don't know if you're seeing the screen, but Valiant did a membership comment as well as his $5 super chat.
It's a membership comment. Where's that?
Yeah, so it's showing up on my YouTube stream, but it doesn't show up on StreamYard. It doesn't show up on StreamYard.
Oh, can you
I can read
say
it.
what it was then, good sir?
Absolutely. Our buddy Valiant Renegade is a member for 21 months, supporter level 1. Hail Mr. H. Just got home and I'm gearing up for the Netflix earnings call in 30 minutes, which I hadn't planned on. So glad you are back live. There you go.
Well, thank you very much, Valiant. I'll be look forward to your opinions on the Netflix earnings call. That will be interesting. And he also dropped in with a super chat and says, "Didn't want to be a jerk and pop in and out on the show for 5 minutes, but thank you so much for the invite. We'll come on one day very soon. We will have you whenever you're able to, my man. I was hoping you'd pop on so we could talk about Halloween actually, because that has been a massive bomb. I've said it's a bomb. Loads of people keep disagreeing with me. But 43, it's like done 50 odd or something like that, 60 odd million. It's not a success, because the original Halloween 2018 one that had a $75 million marketing budget. Regardless of this movie having like a $30 million production budget, it would have had a pretty hefty marketing budget plus theatre cuts. It's nowhere near breaking even. It's such bad word of mouth as well. I don't know. Do you guys have any comments on that? Did you watch Halloween Ends?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, what'd you think? Does that say it all?
I like Michael Myers' cameo in the movie. That was awesome. Nah, like it was balls. How do I put this? Like,
it was balls that you put it. There you go.
It did suck, but I kind of feel like when I talk about Jason Goes to Hell, because I know that movie just everybody's just like throwing, we'll throw mud at Jason Goes to Hell like without thinking about it. It's like, granted, it didn't fucking work, but at least I give them credit and Adam Marcus credit for trying something different, especially in a franchise where you're at the 8th, 9th film, and you've had 8 films where, 6 out of those 8 films, basically, and all 8 of those films taking place in the same fucking place with the killers doing the same fucking thing at this point, I give them credit for taking a chance. I give them credit for taking a chance with Halloween Ends. That being said, it was one of the most redonkulous letdowns in history, because there could have been something here, but I am almost convinced that what they did is they sat down after Halloween Kills and they realized, shit, we have 20 minutes of story and 2 hours of a movie to fill. What do we do?
Do you think that's why they did the time jump? Because it was originally going to be all one evening, just one night it was supposed to be set across.
And that should have been what it is. This should have been on the end of Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills should have ended with her, just like they had originally kind of planned it, but before they cut it, with her leaving the hospital bruised and battered, but going to take on Michael for one last shot, and those two killing each other in a blaze of glory. To me, that would have been the perfect ending of this movie series, period. Then you would have had a trilogy with one Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. And again, because this series is built on trilogies for some reason, even though I guess if you got to count the one is like 5 movies, but still, it's still got its own little trilogy built in there. So at that point, I would have been just fine with that if they'd have just ended it there. This was too much, I thought at first maybe they were just setting it up for future sequels, because I don't want to get into spoilers too much. But the way they had it out in here, it was like, is this a Scream movie or is this Halloween? And it doesn't even really feel like a Scream movie. That's the weird thing. But I mean, without getting into spoilers, I do give them credit for going to a place that a lot of other franchises, including Halloween, have hinted they may go, and they never actually have. And they finally kind of did here in full force, but it just didn't work out. Especially when you're promising this huge climax after the last film.
It was terrible. I hate it. Paulie, have you seen Halloween Ends?
No, man, I'm waiting for my $10 concession.
Mate, honestly, you need it for that. That's
it's on Peacock right now.
While doing.
Romy's a huge horror fan, so we will see it during the season, but
she could be disappointed.
Yeah, we didn't like the last one. We loved the 2018. 2018 was good. But yeah, no, I did not see it, man.
It's not good.
$10 pay up.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
funny.
good. It's not good. Just real quick,
Yeah.
actually, I missed the super chat from JS Pena,
Yeah.
who sent $1.99, says late and bros. So just had to say that real quick. And I think we had one more drop in from Larry Quartowitz, sent $4.99, says hashtag Hverse restored. Much love, Mr. H and friends. Yeah, I'm back streaming. We are here. Hopefully doing this as regular as possible for sure. New setup, regular guests, channel to put it on, clips, etc., etc. We will, we'll get the ball rolling on this. So I think that takes me nicely onto the last topic I kind of wanted to cover today, which I'm sure you guys have seen because it was kind of all over the place. I did a video on it and I got sort of blasted for being negative, but it was about Henry Cavill returning for a Man of Steel 2. Now, Warner Brothers are active. They've got a producer. They're actively searching for a writer. Looks like they want to get it going, but they have no one leading the charge anywhere. So I said, it's fine that they're doing this. That's good news, but we could still end up in a big old mess that we currently have. With the DC universe, whatever, all over the place. Different people doing different things, power vacuum. So, it's a chasm of creativity, just people dropping in left, right, and center with all manner of different things. But what do you guys think about that? Tom, have you heard anything about that? What's the deal?
As far as which part?
Wow, so Warner Brothers looking to do a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill.
Well, yeah, okay. So I did let a little bit out earlier, but from what I've heard, and this is going back to what I initially had heard, was Zaslav really wanted to get Henry Cavill back, but was prepared to go a different route if they had to. I was recently told last month they had worked it out with him, and he's in Black Adam, and they're working on a 4-picture deal with him right now. The rumors going around is that it's going to be called Superman, the next movie. I'm hearing James Gunn maybe directing it, or at least that's who they're trying to get to direct it. I'm not necessarily sold on that, but I'm like, he could do worse.
Hate that idea.
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
wasn't.
They could do worse, but
yeah, exactly. But they've been trying.
anything's
They're
got a lot of
really
symptoms.
trying to pamper James Gunn over there right now because they wanted him to take over the creative side of things, and he's like, I'm not interested. I'd just rather do my Suicide Squad and my TV series. So I'm not even sure if he'll take Superman on. He might say, "Nah, that's just not my thing." And he's smart enough that I know if he don't think he can handle it, he'll probably say no. But I don't know if that's the case, but it sounds like it, and I wouldn't be surprised. But for me, it makes me wonder what happened to Highlander, because I know they were supposed to shoot that in April. I don't know if he's shooting it yet.
With Henry Cavill.
So I don't know if something got
Stileski.
Yeah, I don't know if the funding didn't come through or something happened to where, because to me that means a window had to open for Henry to be like, if now's the time if you're going to sign me, because
and Witcher as well.
That's exactly the point, because they knew that he has Witcher, he's got all the these other things that he signed on to. He's got that Sherlock Holmes thing with Netflix. I mean, he's a busy guy. He's got a lot of stuff. Highlander was set up to be I think he had a possible 3-picture deal there, so like he's going to be busy for a while, and they wanted somebody for the next 10 years, and 4-picture deal would pretty much fit in the next 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, about 10 years. Yeah, 2 years a movie, give or take a little bit. Yeah, you're not wrong. But I mean, what do you Paulie? What do you think of this? Good news, bad news?
Well, first of all, they're on a hunt for writers, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I hear Jenny Gao is available.
Jessica Gao, yeah.
her twin, Jenny.
She-Hulk.
It's a much better.
Right, yeah, her twin.
Oh, the good writer.
You know what? Listen, Henry's very popular. I was not a fan of those movies. I think he's solid, but I think time Father Time isn't kind to any actor, as far as male, female, time marches on. So if I was Warner, I would definitely get that time whenever you can get that time frame and film at least two, maybe even 3 films back to back with Henry. That would be badass. Like create this epic storyline. Because I told you earlier, these actors book out, man. These schedules are
Honestly, I
Yeah.
think it's 2 movies in a Justice League.
Well, it can't just be one. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And shoot them back to back. But yeah,
No, I mean that's what I think the contract will be, like 2 or 3 movies and then like a Justice League and then maybe an
Yeah.
appearance in another movie.
right. But what I'm saying, yeah, that's cool. But it's just if they could shoot a whole bunch within a certain time
Yeah.
frame.
Yeah. Paul is
Yeah.
talking about literally just trying to utilize him, trying to
Yeah,
lock him
yeah.
down for like 2 years and
Now,
film like 2, 3 movies.
Mr. H, have you seen Black Adam yet or no?
No, you know what? Like, I'm genuinely not that interested in it, and I think, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Dwayne Johnson, but and you know what? Like, I thought this was going to be a good movie. Like, I saw when they released the DC fandom bit where he comes out and he like just shish kebab someone's skin off, and I'm like, cool. But then they released the trailer and they just start injecting the Marvel humor into it, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm kind of over this, And then they tease now, literally within the last month, because I know that it literally filmed last month. Henry Cavill's going to be in it, and they, that was only done last month. So huge recent thing. He's going to turn up at the end. It's not a spoiler.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you said something about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, you know what? Like, it just screams desperation to me. And like, and I want it to be good. And if it's good and I like it, like I will give an honest review. I'll tell you, I'd say, look, I put my hands up, I'm wrong, just like I did with Shazam. But I don't get the vibe. So they released the trailer. And it's this, awe-inspiring music, and then cut to jokes, and I'm like, they're 2 different polar opposites contextually there. So it just feels like schizophrenic,
Yeah, the trailers is not doing it any justice. Get it? But if it's an ensemble piece, it could be fun. I'm a little more interested now than I was, the last few months. Not because of the trailers, just because of The Rock's kind of like whether it's honest or not, he's you're here for the fans. It's like I might go check it out. It's not high on my list, but that's my feeling on that.
And I wonder how much it had to get toned down too, because we just recently learned that
They said it was
they
going to
had
be
to
an
cut it
R-rated,
down.
wasn't it?
Yeah, they had to cut it down for a PG-13.
Well, maybe that's what they released. They released content that would have been R-rated for DC fandom event, because
That's what I was curious about when you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's what it's. But you know what I mean? Like, going back to the whole Henry Cavill thing, I mean, this is what I'm concerned about, is that it's going to just, because there is no one controlling DC at the moment, it's just this rudderless ship going in whatever direction the wind blows, which I think is a really good analogy.
Zaslav is kind of de facto running right now, from what I've heard, but yeah.
But how much is he, though? Because you've got Matt Reeves is still doing all of his stuff. He's looking to do more movies now, as well as TV series, not only just the Batman stuff, but other movies on top of it. And so you've just got this big fragmented universe. Again, this ship just blowing in whatever direction.
I don't know what you've heard about the Batman. I've heard it's not so much a done deal as a lot of people are trying to make it out to be.
No, yeah. So you're right. Like, I have heard mixed things, that it's sort of teetering on an edge at the moment, which I think goes hand in hand with why the likes of Colin Farrell is doing so much pushing for it. Saying, Penguin stuff's going to be great. We're shooting it next year.
Yeah, I heard a lot of it's going to have to do with that. Yeah, if that does well, then probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I think, that's essentially what I've heard. But
because otherwise, I heard that that they had been told it has to be shorter, not so dark.
Yeah, Yeah, I heard that,
Um,
but which I think is bad. I think them bringing in this fucking time mandate again, not good. Because what's the other company that has this time mandate all the time? It wasn't Warner Brothers before, was it, or was it Sony? Who Paramount? Who has the time mandate? This weird arbitrary time mandate. I can't remember who it
Warner
was.
used to have a bad. That's how Justice League wound up the way it was, because they hated movies over 2 hours, and in some
Yeah,
cases I agree with them, but
yeah.
in
In some, not all.
I did not like the Batman. I hated it. Like, I hated it with a passion. I wanted to leave. I was
Mm,
standing in the hallway for the last half of the movie because I thought the movie was
Jesus.
already over, and then the movie just keeps going. But uh, like at this point, from what I posited that if the Penguin does well, I won't be surprised if the Batman gets downgraded to an HBO Max movie because
I
for
don't
what
think it will. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, go
I
on.
mean, you
Sorry.
could be right, but I was just saying for the very reason that you're saying though is they don't want any confusion with what's going on the big screen. At the same time, like I've also heard this whole like Snyderverse stuff is
Mm.
they've been in the Snyderverse this whole time. They never left. But but the
They should
Snyder
have
fans are
Snyder involved.
yeah, they just haven't had Snyder involved. But now what's going to happen is between Flashpoint is it is going to kind of reset things.
Mm,
And that's what Zaslav has been saying. He's been saying the word reset. He hasn't been saying reboot. He's been saying
yeah.
reset a lot. Notice, and that's where he's at. Is he can kind of hopefully get somebody in there to reconfigure this whole thing in a way that works with the actors they have, and possibly replacing some other ones.
Mm,
But it I don't see the Batman. The Batman, all that did was confuse them, from what I heard. And I don't know if you caught our video on it, but basically, the Batman is the main reason why they didn't go directly right back to a Snyderverse, because at that point it was going to be one or the other. But if the Batman would have flopped, then they would have been like, well, clearly they just want the Snyderverse, especially after the way the
mm,
Justice League played for them. But since the Batman did okay, it didn't do great. It did okay, it did pretty good. They're like, okay, well, that shows that they're not as hung up on the Snyderverse as people think. And that's where I think Zaslav came up with this idea of a reset. And
mm,
again, that's where I'm not so sure that this movie, because I don't think it made enough. They were banking on that movie making $1 billion. That was what
mm.
I heard. And when it didn't, that was a huge disappointment.
I like the first hour. I just thought
Yeah, the first hour, 90 minutes,
he
2 hours
became
isn't
such a
so bad,
bad
but
detective. It was such a simple crime. Follow the clues, bro.
well, it ended up becoming Batman Begins all over again. It's almost the exact
Yeah,
same plot with the
but
exact same ending. And in
and
some
then
ways, it's also The Dark Knight Rises as well. So it's like
yeah.
we've seen this already. I mean, I get when people like it, it's cool. I liked some of the cinematography and some of the ideas, but it
Oh
just
yeah,
could have used a
beautiful
good
to look at.
editing.
Beautiful to look at. I mean,
Mm.
I just think Matt Reeves just couldn't help himself, and just they needed an editor, man. You know. But yeah, I forgot what my point was. It wasn't just to talk about the Batman, but zoning out here.
Well, I mean,
That
I had a good
I
time with
know
it. I had a good time with
I'm
it.
sorry. I know, Nate.
But as far as Black
I
Adam
saw it.
goes, yeah,
I saw it the
that's
second time. I did pay for full price the first time. I saw it a second time where it was a private screening, and it was with a bunch of other producers. I remember talking to them
Mm.
afterwards, and they're just like, it's too long, and yeah, that's Matt. That's Matt for you. So I thought that was very interesting, where there was just like, yeah, that guy just loves his own shots.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Like, I think you definitely could have condensed it down for sure. I mean, I had a good time with it. I'm not going to sit here and defend it because I fully see nothing to defend. Like, I agree with your stance, but I can't help but like it. I enjoyed that film. But I guess, rounding back to the main point, do you think that there's any good future for DC without anyone actually leading it properly? You say Zaslav's kind of de facto, but I mean, how
no,
involved
he
can he
wants somebody.
possibly
He
be?
needs somebody. No, clearly
Hmm.
he needs somebody. Um,
So do you think Henry Cavill being, coming back for a Man of Steel 2 is a good thing under those circumstances, having no one actually lead?
I think he'll have picked somebody by the end of this year. That's kind of the goal. I had heard
Mm,
December a while back, and then he had kind of said something about that in the whatever you call
Yeah.
it, the earnings call, and then I
Mm.
think there was another article that had said something to that effect too, and then it also talked about the 10-year plan, which is also something I'd heard about. They have screened and asked so many people. It just seems to
Mm.
be like one of those things that nobody wants to take on. And the one person that was almost remotely interested, Peter Rice, it sounded like he decided to stay at Disney, and then he got his he got his head cut off there. So I don't know if
Mm.
it's just that he's kind of blackballed right now, because otherwise I can't believe that, unless Zaslav just didn't feel like that was the right guy, because I don't know why he didn't just snake him right up then, because he brought over Alan Horn, and that was one of the few things I disagreed with him on. I'm like, that was a dumb move. Yeah, Alan Horn
Mm.
used to be Alan Horn, but now he's not anymore. And he's one of the prime reasons the Marvel Universe is the reason it's in the shape it's in right now. And you're bringing this guy to help you usher in whoever this new person is to take over DC. Like, that's
Mm.
not a good. He's even talked to Kevin Feige, from what I've heard. And Feige actually thought about it. And so I don't know. He needs somebody creative like that. I was figuring at first it might be somebody from like the toy or video game industry.
Mm.
But we'll have to wait and see, because that's kind of like Feige's background. Is he started as what's his face's assistant, who owns Toy Biz or whatever, the company that bought Marvel back in the day.
I can't remember.
Avi Arad or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, Avi Arad.
Yeah, and then so through that he got into producing films, and that is who he became.
He's
So like,
the,
I wouldn't.
he's the bane of Spider-Man's existence.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'm kind of like at that point where I'm like, maybe they'll grab somebody from there. You never know. But it seems like Zaz is really sticking with more industry people. So I don't know if that's a good
Mm.
idea. I think they need a fresh perspective. I think they need, like I said, somebody from either like the PlayStation, somebody like who's high up there, or somebody like that knows some of this stuff, perhaps kind of more in tap with an audience, a different
Yeah.
perspective than Hollywood. But then again, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if Paulie has anything to say about that or not, but yeah.
Well, I think having Henry back is great for normies and for purists. I mean, people love him. The problem is we've already put up with the subpar movies. We want
I think
Henry
I
to
know a lot
actually
of
play
DC
Superman.
fans now.
What's yeah. But so it can't happen again. We can't have another round of Man of Steel and all that. So that goes back to having a capable leader behind the scenes. So it's got to be a really good it's got to be a good script. Go back to the writing.
Yeah, don't get no Jessica Gao on board. Get rid of Jessica Gao.
Or
Jessica
Jenny.
Gao on the Batman.
Or
yeah, Jenny.
or
Yeah, her estranged cousin. Oh dear, oh dear. So we just had a few super chats drop in. Night King sent $4.99. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone sending super chats and supporting this big return to streaming. Says the DC universe, I think, is a dumpster fire. It's a series run by focus groups. Get some of the writers of the old animated shows to put some creative input, I think was what I was going to say. It sort of cut off there. Yeah, you know what? DC makes great animated films. DC's animated films are amazing. They've always owned the animated space for DC is incredible. Always great films. I mean, sure, maybe one or two stinkers, but the ratios, yeah, they're great. They're really, really, really good. So I agree with you there, Night King, without a shadow of a doubt. And then we had one, which I can actually highlight, from Mike Hunt. Nice to have you on. Says, I walked out of Batman and I enjoyed it. I assume Batman won. Oh, dear, oh, dear. So I think, in fairness, I think that about wraps it up really topic-wise. I don't think we've got anything else really to say, to be fair. Unless you guys want to sort of touch on it.
No, I'm just sorry for being late again about
Nah, man. To be fair, this has gone off as smooth as it possibly could do. This has been a pretty good return to streaming, I think. My back has held out. Paulie jumped on relatively not too late. You jumped on relatively not too late. We've had a good turnout. I think it's been pretty good. I think.
Yeah, I'm still technically on the road, so my tardiness that will not happen again.
Well, exactly. I appreciate you both
Yeah.
dropping in regardless. Massive, massive thank you. And thank you to everyone who chose to watch this. Just real quick, I've got to say, just for anyone who's dropped in and didn't know, this won't be on the channel now. This will be on another channel called Misstate Reviews Live Archives. Yeah, I'm kind of stealing the idea from Midnight's Edge, but it works and it's a good idea. So head on over there. It's linked in the description box. Please do hit subscribe. And please do head on over to Midnight's Edge. That's in the description box, as well as Paulie's channel, the Latino Slant. Tom, I don't know if you want to talk about Midnight's Edge After Dark. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah, it's a separate channel. We do stuff there. In fact, we're going to be live here in about an hour. So yeah, do check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, I'll probably drop that in the description box moving forwards when you're on. Instead, if you'd like, can do that.
No worries. Either way, it works for me. Yeah, it is. It is a little under noticed, I guess. I guess the best way to put it. But it's most people I don't think they realize it is a separate channel. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of your little baby.
It kind of it was my thing, and originally Midnight's Edge After Dark was gonna be where all the live stuff was, but that just kind of changed over time, and we got some ideas that we're cooking up. But
always got ideas. I've got some ideas. I got some new logos and intros and music on the way. At great expense, actually. It's really not bloody cheap, but it's all for you guys. All for you guys. I was holding out, actually. I was just as a side note, just as a quick little story time. I was holding out doing the live streams until I had them, but they're not going to come in till like November-ish. So I was like, I just want to get started, really. So there you go. But yeah, ladies and gents, Paulie, Tom, where can people find you? I've obviously said your channels, but anywhere else?
Yeah, I'll be doing I do videos every day, whether they're shorts or pre-recorded. I've been on the road, but I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna do an update on, speaking of DC, there's some Blue Beetle news as far as storyline. So it's not gonna be for Blue Beetle purists, fans. It's not great news.
Well, they have it. You got to head on over to Paulie's channel for that. He will reveal all. Tom, you got anything coming up?
Just meet here in about an hour. That's the main thing tonight, and then of course morning show tomorrow on the main channel. That's the next 12 hours anyway.
Busy
always.
Man. The man that doesn't sleep.
No, I don't know how to sleep.
Oh dear. Well, anyway, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Please do subscribe over to Misstate Reviews Live Archives. It's in the description box. Check out my car channel. For those that didn't know, I have a car channel. Yes, I do. Check that out. Follow me over on Twitter at Misstate Reviews. But that about wraps it up, really. Not too much else to say. Thank you all. We'll be doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays, same time, 9 p.m. GMT. If you miss them, they'll be over on that channel along with the clips as well. So yeah, take care, ladies and gentlemen.